Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel, brought to you by Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, and also available here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. We are looking today at the Crimson Guard / Fred / CG, the personal guards of Tomax and Xamot Paoli, or personal guards of Cobra Commander, or however your headcanon works. You can use them for all kinds of different things. But this design, this character, won the best troop builder. They won Cobra Commander's Sweetheart Parade, a poll we did live at Dragon Con, which shocked me because I like this design a lot, but I never thought of it as the best troop builder at all. So I'm happy to have this. I got a couple of them, and then I've got a couple of the retros on the way as well. I'll be reviewing those when they arrive. Great looking box. This is absolutely fantastic art. This is one of the pieces of art that I kind of thought, well, I wouldn't mind having a poster of this, but if they ever want to release like a poster book or something, that would be great. So there you go, packaging style. It is the second version of the classified packaging. Still has a window that does not extend onto the side, but we do have the specialties on there. The Crimson Guard enjoys collecting skulls. They like bundles of peppermint sticks, appropriate for the time of year. They like repairing fishnets. And finally, they enjoy gears. And of course, you can find out what those actually are on gijoe.com. Not my best work there. There's been a lot going on for the past week, year, decade. It never ends. All right. Man, he's got a good loadout. He's got tons of stuff with him. Let's pull it all out of the plastic tray, which I'm more than happy that Hasbro has decided to discontinue. See, I hate this part of opening modern toys. Is forcing everything out of this darn tray. Can't stand them. All right. Find somewhere to put that. Get rid of our piece of legalese. And let's check out our classified series, Crimson Guard. I love this mask. Very intimidating style of headgear. The helmet is cool. I mean, it's almost robotic looking, which I always thought set these apart from some of the other troops. Although we do know, obviously, there is a human head underneath. Gosh, this figure does look really good. That's all I've heard is how great this figure is. Others, including my co-host Christian, have had it in hand for a while. And it really is a very striking figure. So let's do a little comparison here, because I've got an original Crimson Guard who is a little more brilliant crimson. We've got the sleeve right there. They went with the side on that, which I think looks much better. I like the double silver stripes on the bottom of the sleeve. The Cobra emblem is proportionally, I think, a little larger on the newer guy. All of the metals and everything obviously have more detail, but just look better. I love the silver piping that he has around the front of his uniform now. It's one of those things that feel like, oh, this is how the original figure should have been. They just didn't do that. The braiding on the shoulder looks good, although I do kind of wish it was silver. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? I kind of wish that braiding was silver like it is on the original figure, but at the same time, it sort of makes more sense that it isn't. And then the epaulets, they went with the gray instead of the black of the original figure. I'll be very curious to see how the retro compares. The boot style is the same. Did a really good job adapting those. Sort of almost a cavalry boot look. And of course, the addition of knee pads, just to kind of give it a little more character there. And then he's got the holster on his thigh, which is a little more reasonable than the original figure that looks like he's like cut a flap of cloth out of his pants and shoved a pistol into it. Kind of a weird look there. So I think this is a phenomenal update. I'm not going to bother with the articulation because I have talked about the articulation of Classified Series figures dozens of times. I don't need to do it anymore. Looks good. His reds match really nicely. Nothing is standing out to me as like, oh, these plastics don't quite match up. He looks very, very good. I almost wish his shoulders were a little less rounded, like a little more uniformy. I'm not saying he should have like shoulder pads sticking out, but it would be kind of cool if they had squared those off just a bit more. Made this almost look more like a suit jacket. But that's just a concept in my head. I'm not like disappointed. I just think that would have been an even more striking look. Love the V on the belt, which again, to go back to this guy, you can see. So there you go. Great, great looking figure. Very happy with this guy. Let's take a look at the accessories. You've got a backpack that is basically a direct recreation of the original, except it is not red. And seeing it initially, I didn't like that, but seeing it in person and seeing how the blacks on this guy almost stand out a little bit more than they do on the original figure, I think I like the black backpack, which, by the way, pegs in really securely and nicely. Hasbro seems to have gotten a hold on how to make those things work a little bit better. That's great. He has got basically an M16 with a bayonet. Well, that can't be right. Which way does this thing go in? Oh, did I get it? Yeah, there we go. I'm very glad we're returning to painted details on the weapons. If that knife had not had a painted blade, it would have been very disappointing. I think this is a great looking rifle. The original had something a little different. Obviously you can see the similarities. I do think it's a little odd to give a bad guy an M16, though. I don't know a whole lot. I don't know what I used to know about rifles and guns and everything else when I was a kid. But I do know the good guys carry the M16s. So that's a little weird. The saber that is included looks great. If you can see that detail of the snake head on the hilt. The painted blade is fantastic, and I'm assuming it will... see, and this is what I'm talking about. That plastic tray warped my scabbard. So I'm not going to be putting the sword into that until I heat it up and straighten it back out. This is why I'm glad the plastic trays are gone, because I don't want to put the saber into this and have the blade bent like that. So that can attach. You can either put this piece on his belt or on the backpack. I think I prefer it on the belt. That to me looks better. Or you can just not put it on him at all, which is a possibility, considering the original did not come with a sword or a saber or whatever. He's got nice little knife, also with that serpent motif. Looks excellent. And again, that painted blade. This makes all the difference in the world. If this was an all black knife, it would look like such a cheap little piece of junk. Despite the great sculpting, despite the textures, everything else, if it was all black, it would just look junky and cheap. That paint on the blade makes all the difference in the world when you're paying $24.99 for a figure. Fits right into the sheath on his belt. That's great. And then finally, we've got a pistol. Just a simple, basic little pistol, no big deal. Just a nice, I like that they all come with a sidearm like that. I think that's a nice touch, or most of them do anyway. I guess Dusty didn't. And the striping on the leg is not just paint, it's actually sculpted on. It does discontinue here at the knee, which I actually think was a smart move, because otherwise it would go across that joint and just wouldn't, it would look weird. Because there's a big difference between the cut joint here on the thigh and the way that moves, and then this having to move. So I think it was smart just to have the striping right here. Looks good. So let's... that magazine, I knew that wasn't going to want to stay in there. Oh, okay, I had it in wrong. It actually does clip into place. There we go. All right, so we all know the Joe team does a fantastic job with how the rifles fit into the hands. That's never a problem. We'll throw that sword into his other hand just for fun. And there you go. Your Crimson Guardsman, looking awesome, ready to protect whoever it is he needs to protect or infiltrate your neighborhood. Oh, and he's also got a peg up here on the backpack so you can store, that'll go through the trigger guard, I believe, on his rifle. Yeah, so you can peg that on his backpack if you want to as well. So there you go. Your own personal Fred to add to your collection. Maybe one day we'll get a named Fred with an unhelmeted portrait. That would be really cool. But until then, we've got this great figure. Very happy. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. Come back for more toy reviews. And until next time, Cobra. One more piece of business. So what you just watched, I recorded like 3 weeks ago. And fortunately, viewer Norman Bolu, pardon me if I totally mangled your name, pointed out on the Vipers 3-pack, or mentioned on the Vipers 3-pack, that the Crimson Guard does not, in fact, match the Crimson Twins. So what we're going to do is take a look at the Crimson Guard and one of the twins. We're going to look at Tomax, because Zaymot I've got on the shelf holding the knives, and I was like, I don't want to mess up that precarious position. So we're going to check and see. And the problem, of course, is everybody's perception is a little bit different. Everybody's view of what's acceptable is a little bit different. If you want to get really, really nitpicky, to the naked eye, and I don't know if you can tell here in the video, let's move the paoli off to the side there. To my naked eye right now, not looking at the video screen, this and this and this and these do not match. Now, they do. They're fine. The figure looks great, as I said. But if you're super duper nitpicky, these elements of the figure are not quite the same shade of red. They just aren't. And the chest, especially the chest and the arms there, they're different, but they're not. And I don't know how to explain it other than just your personal perception, your personal taste, what you can take as a degree of shading difference in plastic across one toy. And so then that gets even more difficult when you look at two different figures that, as the Hasbro team said, they went to effort to make sure the reds were going to match on anything Crimson related. So the Crimson Bat should also match these two figures. The reds in it, anyway, should also match these two figures. And to my eye, the reds here on Tomax match the reds on the Crimson Guard to a degree that is acceptable on my toy shelf. Now, if you're really nitpicky And look, there's nothing wrong if you are. Everybody has to appreciate toys, figures, whatever, on their own scale and their own personal opinions. So we all have different opinions about things. But to my eye, these reds match for the purposes of figures that are going to be on a shelf together. So, you know, maybe that sash is a tad darker, but my gosh, I mean, not to a degree where I would take issue with it. All of the reds to me on the twin are as close to the reds on the Crimson Guard as you could reasonably expect a mass market toy to be. And, I'm judging against years of collecting DC Universe Classics Sinestro Corps figures, where the yellows aren't even the same family, let alone close to the same shade. So I think Hasbro did a good job with these. Your opinion may vary, and you may not think that they're close enough, but for me, they definitely are. Thanks for watching, you guys. Like, subscribe, share. I already did all that business, and so I'll just say, Cobra.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.